Welcome to the CMO Spotlight. And today I am so thrilled to welcome Katie Williams, who's the CMO of J.M. Smucker Company.
I am a tremendously curious person. It makes me very comfortable in uncomfortable environments. I think that my ability to enjoy discomfort in a way that unlocks growth is definitely a superpower. I try to create environments and support my teams. Even if that's not their superpower, they can feel comfortable kind of leaning into maybe new spaces or places where they're not comfortable because they recognize that they're going to have the support of a leader that really values learning and the growth that can come from that type of mindset. I would say the piece of advice that I got early in my career was my willingness to chart a different path. And I remember my boss said, "You're lucky enough to work on some of these brands that have been here for almost 100 years. What won't always be there is these unique opportunities that build a set of skills and experiences that you can carry with you for the rest of your career." Taking the opportunity to go on a different path, explore something that hasn't yet been explored was career changing for me. I talk a lot about empathy and the importance of empathy. Empathy, though, the combination of curiosity and humility. Humility being recognizing that maybe you don't have all the answers, but then curious enough to go find the answers makes us as effective as possible. For me, that empathy that requires humility and curiosity is for me the most important thing. The one that comes to mind is when I was leading the Sour Patch Kids brand. And Sour Patch Kids was coming off of almost about 10 years of straight just growth, double-digit growth. How am I going to keep this going? And we were heading into a period of time where it was going to be harder and harder to find that level of growth. And so one interesting fact was that there was a certain group of consumers, in this case, Hispanic households, that were driving the majority of the growth on that brand. And I asked the question, why? Do we know why? Why are those households disproportionately driving the growth? And at the time, no one really knew the answer. But we were at the point now, if we wanted to keep growing, we needed to ask those types of questions. And what we learned is that we actually had a woman on the team who was originally from Mexico, and she was in our innovation team. And she had said, I think I have a strong hypothesis why. Most of them were in some sort of jelly or gelatin form, high flavor intensity. There was usually like dual texture. And she was like, this is why. This is just basically the mainstream version of the types of candies and sweet treats in Hispanic community have been eating for years. A very familiar form factor, a very familiar sensory experience, a very familiar intensity, and, and it just unlocked, one, again, that culture of empathy, humble enough to ask the question, why? I don't know why this is happening, but curious enough to go find the answer. And so it just changed our whole approach to how we thought about the growth trajectory and potential and how we were going to grow for the business. So what I learned from that experience is, one, humility and curiosity, but two, we were able to move quickly from hypothesis to strategy because we had a really diverse team. People from all different backgrounds and experiences that felt open to talk about their experiences and bring that to bear when it came to building the business. My husband and I have a quote that we say to our sons every morning before they go to school. "You're not better than anyone, and no one's better than you." That combination of humility and confidence that we want to instill in them. You need to treat everyone with respect, kindness, care, but also that you're a unique and special individual that deserves the same in return. Invisalign is so interesting to me that it just completely upended a category, normalized that piece of self-care. And then the partnership and expertise that it took to engage the gatekeepers and the dental offices to build out that brand. I just would love to learn more about the journey that they went on to build that, really disrupt a category that required new behaviors, both by the end user and by the expert, was really, I think, really, really cool.